one plant, 4 propagation methods. Which one will win the root race? Hey guys, I'm Jamie. Welcome to my channel. This channel is just all about plant stuff. So if you're new here, thank you for joining me. I have not done a whole lot with this channel recently, but I'm looking to change that. I love my plants, I love talking about them, and I would really love to share more of that with you. So before I go any further, the ears over here belong to Luna. She is kind of hiding out of the shot a little bit. You want to say hi? She's relaxing. Today we are doing a little battle of the propagation methods. We have 4 different propagation methods we're going to talk about, and we're going to kind of follow them along on their little journey of root growth. So I used one plant for all of these prop methods because I thought it would be a better experiment. I have to say I love experimenting with plants. I have lots of them. I have maybe in the 150 range or so, which I know there are many people with lots more plants than that. But that's about what I have right now. So I love to experiment with them. I love to experiment with different techniques and different propagation methods. And today we are talking about Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. So to talk about propagation, first we need to talk about the mother plant. So this is my mother plant. She is very large. I got her about 1.5 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, and she's just grown leaps and bounds. I don't have her climbing a trellis or anything. I love trailing plants. However, she really needs to start climbing a trellis or something like that. She is getting a little out of control. I love her, but she needs to be calmed down a little bit. So she was kind of my perfect candidate for taking cuttings from because she had lots of love to give. So taking cuttings from a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which is also sometimes called a mini monstera, is really easy. You just look for the nodes. So the nodes are very, very obvious in these plants. They are the little brown things sticking out, and you just want to make sure to cut below one of them so you have that node to stick into whatever your propagation method is going to be. So now that we've seen the mother plant, now that we've seen how to take a propagation from it, we are going to go over the 4 different methods that we're going to use today. And one of these is kind of new to me. So we're going to see how it goes. That's why I love experimenting, because it gives me the chance to try out new things. And I'm sharing it with you because why not, right? So our first method is probably the easiest, the one most people know about, and the one that I've had really good luck with for my Monstera deliciosa. And because their roots kind of do the same thing, I think this one will do really well. When I have propagated my Monstera in water in the past, it has just done amazingly well. So here's my water propagation. Simplest method, you pour water in a glass or a container of some kind and you plop your cutting in there. I'm going to show you my cutting right now. So I will say we are 3 days out from the day that I took these cuttings. So if there's any root growth at all, it's 3 days old. I don't see any yet, but I'll do a quick close up so you can see. Here is the cutting that I took. Here are the little nodes. You can see there are actually a few on there. So we have a few different opportunities for root growth. I just put it in this cup, 3 to 4 nodes up. We'll see how that goes. The next method is also a fairly common one and one that probably most people know how to do. This next one is soil. So this cutting is about the same size as the other cutting. I tried to keep my cuttings around the same size. 1 or 2 might be a little bit smaller, but they all had basically the same number of nodes. So this is soil. This soil has a mixture of just regular potting soil and perlite. I use perlite to help suck in the moisture in my plants so I don't overwater them. And I notice that when I do use perlite, I don't have little fungus gnats. So it really seems to help kind of suck up that excess water. So with this soil mixture, I probably do about 1/6 of it as perlite, and then the rest is soil, so like a 6-to-1 ratio. So I just filled this pot with the potting soil and perlite mixture and dug a little hole with this thing. This thing is my little miracle tool. You could easily use the other end of a spoon or fork or something like that, but I love this little tool. It's just super easy to use, and I use it to make holes in soil for my propagations. Super easy. Just stuck it in soil. This is the only one that's going to be a little harder to check on because I don't want to pull it out of the soil. Next propagation method is sphagnum. So you're not going to be able to see this super well, but what I did with this one, let's see if I can focus on it a little bit. I will actually pull it out of the bag and show you. Sphagnum moss can be purchased online. That's where I got it. I could not find it at my local big box store, and I don't have a lot of other places that I can purchase plants around here. So I ended up buying some on Amazon. It was like a brick of dry sphagnum moss, and you can just add water, kind of reconstitute it, and then add it to a plastic bag or a plastic container, and then it just kind of acts like a little mini greenhouse. So you can see this bag has lots of moisture in it. So what I did was I just held a handful of the dry sphagnum moss, I added some water to it, and then I just sort of squeezed out the water so it wasn't soaking wet. It was just, you know, a little moist. And then I put it in the bottom of this bag. And then I'm gonna open up the bag to show you this cutting. It has a very earthy smell in there. So here's this cutting. There we go. This one was a little bit longer, and I thought it would be fun to see how many nodes I could actually stick into the sphagnum moss. So there's a node here. There's another one here. So I am just kind of, I don't know if I can show you this very easily, but I'm just kind of burying a couple of nodes down in this bag. So there we go. Just sort of buried in the sphagnum moss. So the important thing with this one, and I won't keep opening it, I'll probably just open it once a week to check on it, but the important thing with this one is to keep the bag inflated so that it continues to act as a little miniature greenhouse. So I'm going to close it most of the way and then blow some air in this to keep it inflated. There we go. So you should be able to feel that there's air in there, and it's just kind of cute. It's fun to watch. It's like a little miniature terrarium. Our last method is the newest one to me, and this is perlite. So this is only perlite and water, nothing else is mixed in with this. I have recently seen people doing this online and on YouTube, and I wanted to give it a try for myself. So perlite can be found in probably your local big box store. I found mine at either Lowe's or Home Depot, I can't remember which. And I use it, like I said, in soil all the time, but I never thought to use it as a propagation method. So I'm really interested to see how this one goes. So far, so good. I did this 3 days ago and everybody still seems healthy. I don't see any leaves wilting, so that's a great start. So the way I did this was I grabbed probably like a cup's worth. I measured a full cup, like up to here, of perlite in this glass. I then poured that dry perlite into a bowl. I added water to it just to kind of let it sit for a couple of minutes. And then I took a little measuring spoon and scooped the wet perlite into this cup. I didn't add any of the water that was in that bowl. I just scooped out the perlite. And then I just stuck, I'm not going to be able to pull it out very easily, but I took my little cutting that's about this big. This is probably my smallest cutting of all of them, but it has a beautiful node right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a happy little node. Anyway, I just took it and plopped it right down into the perlite and then kind of pushed the perlite around. This one only has one node, so that kind of only gives it one chance to grow roots, but I think it's gonna be okay. I'm hearing great things about perlite. So after I put it in here, I just poured water to about the middle of the glass. So let me share with you a little bit about how I'm going to make sure these propagations kind of stay healthy, hopefully. So with this one, I'm just gonna make sure that it has sort of that moist feel to it. I don't want the perlite to get dry because it does need water. Perlite is like volcanic rock or something like that. So it does need some water for the plants to stay healthy. With this one, I am going to just keep it moist. I'll probably water it more often than I would normally water my mother plant because cuttings need slightly different circumstances to be able to thrive. So I'm gonna keep this fairly moist. I'm not gonna let it get dry. And then I'm also keeping all of these propagations in the same window except for my bag of sphagnum. That's going in a slightly different window because there's no room in my propagation window for all of it. I have a lot of propagations going. All right, my water propagation, I am just going to clear the water out of here every 3 to 4 days and pour in new water. I'm just using tap water for this. I only use tap water for all of my plants. I know that's probably a no-no, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to plants. We'll just say it's part of the experiment. So I'll be changing up the tap water in this cup every few days. The sphagnum bag, I have found that I rarely need to do anything with these. You may need to add a little bit of water to keep the sphagnum moss moist, but I have found that I don't need to touch my propagations when I put them in sphagnum. This plastic bag just acts like such a perfect greenhouse, and I mean, you can see all the little droplets of water in there. That's just from sitting in the bag, and maybe it helps that it's summer weather, but whatever works, right? So that's it. That's all 4 propagation methods. We are going to check in on these babies once a week. So I will be checking in with you every week. We'll be checking the root growth. We'll be making sure the leaves are healthy. So come along with me if you feel like checking this out to see how these propagation methods are working. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it so you'll be notified whenever I have a new video coming out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.